Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to Celebrity Natal Charts. Kick back, relax, find a beverage, enjoy it. Today, we are going to be looking at the natal chart of Jack Black from Santa Monica, California, United States, born August 28th, 1969 at 3:04 a.m. 3 or 4 a.m. Birth time accuracy, it says excellent. I want to give some shout outs to some other Virgo rising cancers. When I did the Scorpio videos, I was like, I'm gonna do RuPaul, never did it. And I think I made some type of promise in my Pisces videos to do a Jack Black video, not knowing that Virgo rising cancer is like the best Virgo positioning because there's so many other celebrities with Virgo rising cancer that I wanted to do, like Keke Palmer. No disrespect for her. I was like really looking forward to doing her chart, but I kind of had to make a choice. And I also feel like she is like very popular and on the cultural zeitgeist and is going to be very influential in the future and in the present. But we're not doing her. And then there's also Stephen King, who I felt would be like very interesting to do. I just did George R. Martin's chart, so it would be really interesting to do another author, as there's so few authors included in this series. So it would have been like J.R. Tolkien, J.R.R. Martin, whose video has like some weird recording issues in the beginning of it, which is okay, I've decided. And so I thought it'd be interesting to also do Stephen King because he's a very successful author. And as I'm always talking about like technology changing, people being people being you know like I was watching this documentary and I've seen it before. It's actually narrated by Jason Alexander, and it's about like people with deformities and like sideshow attractions. And even in the video or the documentary, this guy, he is the son of Lobster Boy. So I guess his father is Lobster Man and he is Lobster Boy, and they have like this deformity where they only have three fingers, sort of like the Pokemon Mewtwo or like a lobster or like Yoda. I guess lobsters don't have three fingers. So Yoda Boy would actually be a better name for him. But they talk about how people, as times had changed. I think this documentary is like from the 80s or 90s. Uh, People don't want to see that, and they're more interested in things like magic, like Penn and Teller and like Chris Angel Mind Freak. And even for me, when it comes to magic, like movie magic or TV magic, I don't know what any of this has to do with Jack Black. um, TV magic or movie magic, like you're watching Bewitched, and it's really just like, the same trick over and over again. So I think that even the sideshow freaks and the magicians, it's just kind of like art and entertainment as well. Like there's going to be a certain time where people aren't so into singing and dancing. They might be more into dramatic acting or comedy, and it's sort of, just what people have a taste for. And for the love of Lobster Boy and the whole lobster family and anybody that, is caught up in that system, maybe that will come back, some platform like Vine or MySpace or some other type of social media platform might make magic or people with deformities more interesting again. Um, like I felt, there's like a very small incident or whatever, but there a couple years ago, maybe like 2024 or 2023, like I don't know if it's like the DC Soul Circus, but it's like the Soul Circus. So it's like a African American circus. Did some type of like collaboration or partnership with the Special Olympics, and I'm not um, a person, a differently abled person, so I can't say that if that's offensive or not. But in my mind, I was sort of like, I don't think you're supposed to put people with disabilities in juxtaposition to the circus because of things like Lobster Boy. But no one asked me, and I guess this is me complaining about it and taking up time in Jack Black's video. Because he's sort of a magic guy. He's sort of like a carny a little bit. He does the Tenacious D, maybe. Maybe Carney is a disrespectful word. Maybe Carney's like Jack Black. But Thomas Jacob Jack Black, born August 28th, 1969. Total cool rock and roll year to be born. Oh, and I don't think I talked about George R. Martin's Chinese sign. So maybe we'll talk about that here. I don't know. But this is about Thomas. Thomas Jacob Jack Black, born August 28th, 1969, is an American actor, producer, comedian, voice artist, writer, and musician. His acting career has been extensive, starring primarily as bumbling and cocky, but internally self-conscious outsiders in comedy films. Though he has played some serious roles, he is best known for his role in High Fidelity, Shallow Hal, School of Rock, King Kong, Nacho Libre, Tropic Thunder, Bernie, and Kung Fu Panda. Black is considered a member of the so-called frat pack, a loose grouping of comedic actors who have appeared together in various Hollywood films and has been nominated for 2 Golden Globe Awards. He is the lead vocalist of the comedic rock group Tenacious D, which he formed in 1994 with his friend Kyle Gass. Um, so I think that Jack Black was like a really good selection because I did talk a lot about him in the Gwyneth Paltrow video with like Shallow Hal and body shaming and things like that. Um, I could be super wrong. I think I looked it up, but like because James Hong is in the Kung Fu Panda films, I talked a lot about Kung Fu Panda, so here we are. So that's Mr. Black. That's his bio from Astro Theme. And so he has the rising Cancer. So as I was seeing with Cindy Crawford's chart, the more that he can be loving, maternal, and a caregiver, that's how where he gets his self-esteem. So James Hong, it's like the more battles that he's overcome, the more trials that he's experienced, the more miserable his life has been, that makes him feel like cool and tough and fills his body up with self-esteem, makes him simmer with self-esteem. For Mr. Black, it's more about how loving, nurturing, and much of a caregiver he is. So, if there's somebody, who's in need of help and he's not able to help them, that makes him feel like a loser. It makes him feel like he lost something that day. Which may not be, communicating with him, that may not be like what he says, but I think that internally, that's what it says. So says his natal chart. And Mr. Black, he also has Venus in Cancer in his first house. So I've never seen a young picture of him. I think he's a very handsome, attractive person. He may not be like the picture of, you might not put him like on a firehouse calendar, or like a supermodel. But then even being like really attractive can be off-putting or unrelatable. So he's like a very like relatable handsomeness about him and attractiveness about him that feels like almost like maternal or paternal. Like I don't know the genderless word to describe a caregivering, um, guardian type energy. Was he in Guardian of the Galaxies? Probably not, but the music seems like it was something he would be a part of. Um, and I don't know if the frat pack thing ties into this, but so my favorite thing about the Rising Cancer charts that makes me really excited and I think is so funny for some reason, but it's their life. So he's a Cancer, he's a caregiver, he's attractive, he has Venus in Cancer, but in his second house he has Leo. So Leo or the second house is the house of what I see as like your financial resources. Like I said, if you're like a goat farmer, your second house is goats. Um, and so his second house isn't goats, it's Leo, it's lions, it's fame, it's attention, it's David Lee Roth and Headbangers Ball and like, that type of stuff, like having long leonine manes. It's a huge priority to him, which I think he has. He has really good hair, Mr. Black. But more so, it's like popularity. So to the rising Cancer, popularity is their biggest priority, and sometimes it's shallow Hal reasons. We all want to be popular and famous, but like for him, it's like the message he has to get out. I think it's very important for him and his body type and his energy. I think like on Twitter, I was saying that Jack Black is, the new king of pop or the king of rock because he actually plays his instruments, um, which he might not, but like from what I'm understanding, he does. He's been in a jam band since 1994, and everybody loved that song that he did for Mario. So his biggest priority is to be famous in Hollywood and to have good hair. His third house, which he has in Virgo, which he also has his sun, um, Pluto. He has a sun and Pluto, those two. And his third house talks about like his childhood environment where he grew up. I always see Virgo representing a place that's like Virginia or like the breadbasket of America, like Pennsylvania, Virginia, um, California, possibly like certain parts of California, maybe like more like so Arizona. It's also where he gets his aesthetic from. So I would say he's somewhat conservative. To another person, he's probably like very eccentric and very like Aquarian. But to those places, to the community that he's in, he's not really like a Lady Gaga. Like he's not walking around in a meat dress. He's kind of like wearing like Led Zeppelin shirts and jeans and very approachable. He's like a very approachable aesthetic and style. And then his childhood home and childhood upbringing is probably like very traditional. Probably spent a lot of time in School of Rock, um, as I'm hearing school bells. Uh, and then his fourth house of Libra, where he has Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus. And in this series, as we've been seeing a lot of people with Mercury and Libra, was like they sang real good. So he might be really good at singing, as we've probably experienced before, or speaking, communicating, telling jokes, being able to talk in a very palatable, approachable. I'm trying to think of another word, but I can't think of it right now. It's like being like a common man, like not outshining people. Like he doesn't have a highbrow way of speaking or looking. Like he's not like ostentatious or deflective of how like wealthy and beautiful he is. You know what I mean? Like you might see like Dwayne the Rock Johnson and feel like intimidated because he's been wrestling since the 90s, so he has like hopefully has money. He's a TV shows on Hulu and things like that. And he's in movies and he has like muscles, and he's like very confident. So that could be like very intimidating to people. Whereas Jack Black is kind of stout, kind of wide, kind of scruffy looking, looks more approachable, I think. Or maybe that's deflecting it too. I don't know, but that's what's coming through. Um, Inviting, hospitable, Libra. You know what I mean? Like what do you call it? Like when you go to someone's home or a restaurant and there's like a tablecloth on the table. Like they're trying to show you hospitality, like they're inviting. And so is his voice. He's very lucky for his voice. He has Jupiter in Libra. So his voice and speaking in the legal system and books and all those things bring him a lot of good fortune. He has Uranus in Libra too, meaning that the boundlessness and the thing and the person that breaks down. Uh, it'd be fun to look up the Tenacious D guy's zodiac sign. Um, but the person that knocks down all the boundaries for him is Libra, so that could be Frankie Lyman, like it could be Bruno Mars, it could be, any other singer in the world. Um, but just Libras in general and forming partnerships with people helps him break down boundaries. So, you might not want to cast zany looking Jack Black in your movie, but if he's friends with somebody like this frat pack that, like Ben Stiller or somebody, then you're more likely to want to put him in a movie because of who his friends are. This also talks about like his home environment, like what his home life was like and his connection to his mother, which could be very fair and balanced. Maybe his mother was someone like it's Libra is sort of like a narcissist energy, but I think it's like a divine good narcissist where they're just trying to not look like what they're going through, even though they might be going through a lot. which is very like housewife, very, Southern American housewife, like life is a storm, but we still put down the doilies and the tablecloths and, everything that is tradition. Um, and then he has a fifth house in Scorpio. So the fifth house, I always say it's like obstacles. So as a Virgo, as a rising Cancer, fifth house in Scorpio. Hold on. Yeah, one, two, three, four, five. Yeah. I don't know. For some reason, Sun in Cancer, I thought his sixth house might be in Scorpio. If I know things right, which I maybe don't. Okay. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Yeah. So the fifth house in Scorpio, where he also has Neptune, um, which means so Neptune, it's like whoever helps him cast illusions, whoever helped him get on television is most likely a Scorpio or inspired him in some way, shape, or form. But then it also talks about like the ego and any wounds that the comes through. So, being the shape that he is, maybe he never truly thought that like being on television and movies was for him. And the way that he overcame that with the energies of his sixth of the ceiling, breaking through the glass ceiling. The healing sixth house of Virgo is where you heal yourself from your wounded ego of, um, so the second house of Leo, talking about popularity and fame being the highest priority. So it's sort of like, you want to get on stage. You know what I mean? Like Leo's like, you want to get on stage. And then his fifth house, which the fifth house rules Leo with Scorpio. So his obstacle to getting on stage or on screen is the fact that he's a shy Scorpio rising Cancer. Is shy. Is shy, is into like occult magic, probably like Dungeons and Dragons and, you know, Zelda and Mario and things like that. Nerdy. And how he heals himself from that, like, potentially like going on stage, maybe trying to do prestidigitation and magic and pull rabbits out of a hat, and then maybe getting booed. Um, how he heals that or heals the fear of that, maybe the fear of like getting tomatoes and rotten cabbages thrown at you while on stage, is through Sagittarius, which is being fiercely competitive and not giving up and being somewhat like petty a little bit and struggling to survive, where he also has Mars in Sagittarius as well. So, if you beat out Jack Black for a role, he might actually fight you. Um, so, with Mars in Sagittarius, this means that he's either feels like very attacked by Sagittarius's or that's his attack style. Maybe something to do with Kung Fu Panda. It's like relentless, competitive, like a racehorse, never gives up, has blinders on, so he's not really too aware of the competition or taking the competition into account. That's his sixth thought. So he heals himself is by being competitive, by being persistent. Maybe he goes for really long walks, like perhaps like for his physical health, like hiking or horseback riding. Could be very healing and cathartic for him if he doesn't do that. And I guess all this maths, because his seventh house is in Capricorn, which is Cancer's opposite sign. So fifth house in Scorpio, check. Um, and I think that's a very, it's a very natural thing for the seventh, for the rising Cancer to have the seventh house in Capricorn, because that's how math works. But also, it's like, him being such a caregiver and probably wanting to give every dollar he has to save the whales or to save, the children or this cause or that cause, is to have a partner who is very money minded and astute and maybe a little bit cold, who's like, you can't save every whale, you can't save every sea lion, like you need money for yourself to eat and have a home. So although these aren't like Uranian or Aquarian energies, there is like this like because of the cancer, his enormity or the size of his celebrity and being the rising Cancer, he does kind of feel like Mother Earth or very Virgo, Mother Earth, wanting to nurture and help everyone. And as we're talking about that, leave the seventh house into his eighth house where he has Aquarius. It's like he almost wants to use magic or movie magic to not necessarily heal people, but save people, like carry the weight of the world on his shoulders, like Charles. I don't know it's Charles Atlas, but like the Greek Titan Atlas. Maybe he'll be in Rocky Horror Picture Show or something, or maybe he already has. Maybe he performed Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that's his the fifth house in Scorpio. Maybe people threw tomatoes at him. Maybe he was Frankenfurter. And I think he's like very obviously like in a casting of anybody. Like I didn't see the Laverne Cox version of Rocky Horror Picture Show, but he's Eddie. He's like 100% Meatloaf. Like he's 100% Eddie from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Like if I was casting Rocky Horror Picture Show, Jack Black would be the number one. Maybe not now because he's a little bit older, but like at some point in time, he's like definitely Eddie from Rocky Horror Picture Show. Hopefully he doesn't get eaten. But it's like he wants to use magic and his knowledge of occult magic and esoterica and Catholicism and Hinduism, all eighth house things, to save the world and to save the whales and the rainforest and the dry forest and the desert and everything else. The earth, the whole planet. He has the whole world in his hands. And in his ninth house, where he has Pisces, so this says to me that so although Capricorn would make a great business partner, great relationship, great dates, uh, other astrologers have been telling me that the ninth house is better for long-term relationships, long-distance relationships. He also has a moon in Pisces, which is great. What is it like? Michael Jackson has a moon in Pisces. It's like a very creative energy to have, a very intuitive energy to have. One stereotype I have about the moon in Pisces is like they like to go by different names and use different aliases. And as his name is Thomas Jacob, having his name be Jack is like kind of misleading. Um, so that's the moon in Pisces. He should get married to a Pisces. He should have like a French pen pal who's a Pisces and have a long distance relationship with them. It'd be very fun. He might already do that. He might have like an imaginary friend that he thinks is imaginary, but he's really somebody that he talks through telepathy with. He has a 10th house in Aries, so he's actually supposed to be like some type of like war general. It's his destiny. You never know. As more Tenacious D and AI might make being in movies and films and recording albums feel like you're a defunct, sideshow freak attraction. He might join the army and become like a war general of some sort. Or to me, it really seems like the Bowser outfit that he had. So it could be that. I'm not trying to make predictions really about his career, but it could be him dressing up like Bowser. He could be voicing Bowser in a video game where he's sort of like the antagonist or bigoted villain of the story. He also has Chiron in Aries, which says to me that Chiron in Aries to me is always like anger management skills, where 'cause there's a lot of celebrities with this positioning, where it's like he might be able to help other people manage their anger, but there's nobody helping him. And then his 11th house of Taurus, where he also has Saturn, says to me like finances, his weight is like sort of a limitation for him, and maybe his perspective of other people and their weight and their body shape and their size. I mean, as an actor, as a casting director, somebody like, if he's like producing another Tenacious D movie, and he's trying to fulfill the role of, rock and roll groupie bimbo, and, somebody with a body shape like Lizzo, who is a Taurus, shows up, and it's like, it might be like funny to have you play this role, but then it's like, I don't know if the jokes are worth it because there's so much at your expense, which might be something that happened before, happens a lot in casting of movies. So it's like fat phobia, internalized fat phobia, projected fat phobia, and just fat phobia in general is a limitation for him. But I think because Taurus in the 11th house, he probably has a lot of rotund biggins as friends and family that maybe not feel loved and supported by his movies. But I feel like Shallow Hal had a positive message, if I remember. Also had Jason Alexander in it, who narrated the Lobster Boy documentary that I was talking about. So this is all connected. Get out your pens and papers and pieces of string and like the Charlie Day meme and put it all together, okay? Um, and so that's his 11th house, and then his 12th house finally he has Gemini. So this also talks about like um, skinny people, elf-looking people, gelfling-looking people, athletes, and like Wendy Williams, like making, gossips and athletes and cheerleaders and the cool kids and the mean girls, making him miserable, or make him miserable or have made him miserable. So that's his 12th house. Don't date a Gemini. And I think that's like a very typical thing for the sun Cancer, for the rising Cancer, for the moon in Cancer. Like you think that Geminis are skinny and mean, and everybody goes to their birthday party because, like, I think school is still in session or whatever, and all Cancers are like, well, all sun Cancers are like, oh, I was never popular in school, no one ever came to my birthday party. And it's like, because everybody was at the beach on vacation or whatever, at theme parks and stuff during their birthdays. So that's Mr. Jack Black. I think that was pretty accurate for what I think about him. And then, so this is going to, I should look up, I don't know, Kiki Palmer is amazing. Stephen King is amazing. I just want to, like, because I wanted them to be in this video too. So 1969 is the year of the Earth Rooster. And I don't know if you're tired of me saying this, but I'm tired of saying it. The Chinese zodiac and the Western zodiac, they do not know each other. Chinese zodiac is Mariah Carey. Western zodiac is J-Lo. They've never heard of each other. There are different stars and different constellations on the axis of the planet. But in my completely ignorant and dumb juxtaposition of the two different systems, I do typically see rooster as being Virgo because roosters on the farm, they have a job, they're working, they're waking people up to go work on a farm, very Virgo type stuff. But it's also very Libra as they are like singing the cock-a-doodle-doo that they do to wake people up. So it's like they have a job, and they're important, they're the alarm clock. And also, like, Libra, Virgo being like singers and rappers and all that stuff seems very rooster. So 1969 was the year of the Earth Rooster in the Chinese zodiac, which corresponds to the period of February 17th, 1969, February 5th, 1970. People born in this year are said to be honest, hardworking, and independent, with a desire for truth and strong sense of self-respect. Globally, 1969 was also the year of intense Sino-Soviet border conflicts, which were a major turning point in the Cold War. I always think of 1969 as being like the summer of love and perhaps Woodstock, which is very Jack Black. I said like the Led Zeppelin and the t-shirts. This is a good video. I already know this, even if there's like clicking noises like in the George R.R. Martin one, this is a good video. So we're also going to look up George R.R. Martin's Chinese zodiac sign because I feel like we owe it to him because I've never watched Game of Thrones and see 1948. Oh wow, he old. So I don't know. Maybe Jack Black will be in a George R.R. Martin movie biopic or something one day. 1948 is the Chinese zodiac sign of the rat, the year of the Earth rat. And the Earth rat is considered quick-witted, resourceful, and intelligent, and the Earth element adding qualities like being pragmatic and hardworking. The Chinese zodiac year of the Earth rat ran from February 10th, 1948 to January 28th, 1949. And even with that, like, so in the Capricorn videos, I was like, I probably have all their Chinese zodiac signs wrong because of how January falls into the calendar. But I'm thinking I probably have a lot of the Aquarius one wrong because it seems that the Chinese zodiac turns over like on some random day in between like February 8th and 11th during February. So all those videos are wrong. I'm canceled. Goodbye. So that's George R. R. Martin's Chinese zodiac sign. That is Jack Black's natal chart. We love Kiki Palmer. We love the rising Cancer. Thank you so much for liking, sharing, and subscribing. Thank you for finding your best friend who is a Virgo with rising Cancer to tell them how successful they're going to be as perhaps somebody on television or movies or a war general. I hope you enjoyed your beverage. I hope you enjoyed listening to this video. I hope I covered everything, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.